Hey there, furries, sickos, and everyone else. Welcome to the Toy Chest. I'm your host, Clark Macbeth, and I'm going to try an app. I don't know if any of you have heard of FUTO, but what FUTO is a they're basically a non-profit, like a benefit type of corporation. Like if I go to FUTO dot, is it org? I don't know if it's org or it's org. Okay. So if you go to futo.org, you get a big list of things, and they tell you why FUTO is so great, and the reason that FUTO is so great is because they are deliberately trying to make make big tech companies the evil kind, the kind that are supported by Peter Thiel and his constant psychological meltdown of inconsistent weapons grade nonsense that is being used as a justification to like spy on you and take all the freedom away from you just because basically he's doing that because he can. There's no underlying reason for it. He's not being secretive. He's just a massive asshole, that Peter Thiel guy, and he's the guy that is primarily leading all the enshittification in technology right now. He is the ringleader, and Elon Musk, being more wealthy than him, is an excellent distraction from that until I just pointed that out now. Anyway, there's this FUTO company that's doing whatever it can to stick a leg up on his speed run to turn everything into 1984 with Peter Thiel himself, obviously wanting to be the big brother in that world and seeing that as the only way things should happen. And of course, that is a lie. We're living in Peter Thiel's headcanon, and it is a lie if that has to be the case. And FUTO is a nonprofit that in a nonprofit, it has to be not for profit. So they give excess money to these things that you can download, even in places where they say they stop supporting or may stop supporting because, again, Peter Thiel is trying to snoop in on every aspect of your life for no fucking reason. And it has gotten so pervasive, that guy's obsession with surveilling everyone, getting everyone's information, and of course playing a direct role on Epstein Island. So, having an easy database of who is a child and who isn't is very much in Peter Thiel's interests and not of the children, hence the so-called age verification laws that are meant to help oligarchs find their next victims very easily, with or without. And we live in a world without Jeffrey Epstein. Anyway, this is a company that also makes a bunch of software. Let's see what they have in store. This is the list that they have on their website right now. But they also acquired a note-taking application project, and here it is. It's FUTO Notes. It went by a different name, and I forgot what it was. I just jumped off of the YouTube video, and I just wanted to give my first impressions of the software because I haven't really downloaded it right now. You see, I gotta download this first, and if I'm going to go with an app image, what I got to do is put that in a wrapper so that thing can't quickly do damage to my system. And also, app images do not update themselves. There might be some that'll let you click a button and update within the app, but I would just prefer to have all of those updated at once. I'm running on a Linux machine. I'm running on NixOS. I believe, have to declare that I can run app images in order for this to work. But for most of you on any more normal-minded Linux distribution, which I am currently not running as I am recording this video, yeah, I'm just directly downloading the application into a very thin app image container that just helps get this thing running on the system. It's like downloading an exe on Linux, but using, the tools that I feel God intended for the computer: a keyboard and a mouse. The normal graphical way of doing that. An app image is basically the equivalent of an exe on Linux. I know there are people who say, like, if you curl FSSL like this, and you don't need to elevate permissions or anything like that, it's just curl FSSL. That's also an equivalent of doing that, and I'm not doing that. And also, if you use apt or DNF, you're using like a Debian-based system, you use apt. If you use a Red Hat or Fedora-based, you use DNF. The more the enterprise-minded machines will probably use DNF. More of the home-based Linux will use the APT. Will use the APT. I know Debian is run by good people, but like if you get a curl and it doesn't link to a specific package format, and it's just copy this in, sort of like with Olama, you just copy that in. That's also like downloading an exe on Linux, but you're using the command line instead of, you know, the good user interface, the GUI, which I am using right now to show you that .app image is a type of thing you can download that's also like a Windows.exe. So for those of you who are on Windows and trying to make sense of what I'm doing behind me right now, I'm basically downloading the Linux equivalent of a .exe, which most Linux nerds would recommend you do not do that, either with curl, FSSF, and no specific package format, which this does have, but still, or by downloading an app image and just activating it. I don't do that. I gotta get my Linux nerd cred, because there is that in the Linux, a bit more of that than in Windows, and by a bit I mean very much a lot, a gargantuan Wombonian amount. And there is the app image. I can just see there is the note-taking application. I believe that is finished downloading, because I don't see the download on my screen anymore, the progress, so it must be done. It is completed. I went into behind my head here. You can see right here. Let me just move my head and show you. No, not the entire recording area. I want just my head. Thank you, OBS, for that. Here I am, being a Minnesotan, thanking inanimate objects, because I'm like nice like that and polite and shit. Anyway, oh, we still swear in Minnesota, by the way. Don't get your panties twisted on that. We still swear and have American rudeness, but in Minnesota we try and limit that. There's a lot more restraint. So in a sense, we're kind of like Canada, kind of like America, both mashed together. Like, we're gonna be rude to people who violate the civil rights of Minnesotans knowingly and willfully, just like Peter Thiel. And this is my deliberate protest video against that. If Peter Thiel is watching, hi, come at me, bro. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is, okay, yeah, I use a program called Gear Lever, and you can install it as a Flatpak. You can install it, like, in the terminal, like I could, if I were running, say, some kind of Fedora, which I tend to use on the go. I use the NixOS for the more home-based server type shit, and for recording, just for stability's sake, and editing videos and that stuff. I use NixOS just to make sure everything works as intended, as consistently as possible. And if I need to completely rebuild this machine, I can have everything declared, and it will download everything over a secure connection. So anyway, like if you're on let's pretend this is Fedora, though. You can just sudo dnf install gear lever, and it should come up with the Fedora package for that. Or I believe there is a Flatpak version of this as well. Flatpak install gear lever. Yep, there's a Flatpak too. So, you know, for those of you who are not chasing the nerd cred and just want to be more like a normie Linux user, you can get gear lever and then wrap your app image file around that, which is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to add that in here. I am going to use gear lever as a container, but you might be wondering how I do that. And honestly, I haven't really played with this in a while. I just have one app image, and that's Helium, which is one of those things that insists on it. And gear lever, you can install it as a Flatpak, but like FUTO Notes also kind of insists on it too. Like it's the big button here, and this all seems more advanced at a first glance, so most people are going to get the app image, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the more normal thing, and that's install the app image. But what really should be done with app images is to have gear lever open them up. It really should be obvious where to add these. I'm going to see if I can go back into gear lever here, gear lever, and see if I can find that add button there, gear lever. I might just be blind a bit. Maybe it's the insistence of wearing polarized sunglasses while filming these videos. Maybe that's got something to do with it. But oh, I forgot to look at this big open button here in the top left corner. Sorry. Sorry guys, I am going to go into the downloads folder where that app image went and just, okay, FUTO Notes, there we go. Open that up in gear lever and you'll notice that it'll say please verify the source. Looks good to me. I think it originally came from FUTO's own YouTube promoting this, and this site looks legit, so you know what, if it does end up not being a legit program, I can just roll back on NixOS, where the super stable server thing I test this shit on. NixOS isn't for normal people, it's for like computer gods. But Linux, you can be a normie, you can have any skill level, and you'll still like level up with computers no matter what. And that's exactly what Peter Thiel doesn't want. So I certainly encourage everyone in Minnesota, especially, but also around the world, just to straight up do. And the UK, by the way. I am so glad Starmer resigned. So I unlocked it. I used FUTO to allow the .app image to execute as program. But currently, I believe that app image is not available on the app launcher. I could just leave it like that as a hidden thing. But, okay, that's just a window I have open. That's just showing I have, in the Zen browser, FUTO Notes open. The web page, like right here, but like if I were to like close that though, if I were to close that and just type in FUTO Notes, and let's just say I never had any browser history other than, okay, it's not showing up as an app at all. It's not. Nothing behind my head still. Just you know, trust me, bro. Or I'll just briefly move my head again. Just hop out of the boat, do a little flying. FUTO. I have plenty of browser history that I just decided will go in the app launcher of this specific machine, but not the application itself. So in order to fix that, I click Move to App Menu, and there it is. And there's some other micro management stuff that can be done to ensure the stability of this. But for the most part, I believe it is good. FUTO Notes is now installed and available on the app launcher of my home computer, which is a Framework 13 laptop, just maxed out of its specs at the time, and this all happened like a year ago when I maxed that out. So I do have 96 gigs of RAM in this device. Like here, I'll prove it. High fetch. Oh no, a pride flag in Minnesota. Also, yeah, these are my system specs, and there's a bunch of. I call it the frame computer because there's a bunch of wires sticking out and dongles upon dongles and shit. I know that's not really what a framework laptop is supposed to resemble, but I am trying to squeeze every bit of value out of this machine that I can. And open source toys certainly help with that. It also means that this is one thing that Peter Thiel cannot get his grubby little thieving, thuggering hands on. Because that's exactly who Peter Thiel is. That is his whole personality. Okay, so I just launched the application, and it looks pretty basic right now. Even more so with the white background. Thank you. Thank myself for minimizing gear lever. Okay, so one more thing about gear lever. Yeah, it's basically a condom for app images. It will update them all, and it will let you make some tweaks to modify and secure them as needed. You can change the update intervals and settings. You can undo an update. You can reload the metadata. You can change the source if you don't want to use GitHub and you want to use Codeberg instead. Depending on the application, you can use that as the update channel that gear lever will use when you hit check for updates. And if there's an update available, it will use that channel instead. By the way, I will be using Codeberg from now on because I use Linux also as a protest against the general shitification that tech bros, especially Peter Thiel, want to force onto society really just because they want to be big bullies upon the entire world, who have not done anything to earn that in any way, shape, or form, and they know it, and everyone knows it, and that's why the world is a mess in 2026. That will be cleaned up by the people, not by Peter Thiel. So anyway, what kind of note application are we looking at here? Well, it looks like it's FUTO Notes. You have a search here. At first glance, you clearly just pressing plus new is the most intuitive thing. If I get my little magnifier buddy, it says no notes yet. Tap plus to create one. And that's your first instinct and thing to do. And for once, I believe I'm going to do that rather than just going into the settings. It also looks like there's a place for tags and even images if you save those in here, which is an option. There is also an application in Android and you can even download this on Windows if you want. It's private though. It's something that is self-hosted. You are using your own local data, so it's not as easy for Microsoft to grab if you're installing this on Windows. Or you can use Android and iOS and have these things synchronize on the go, I believe is one of the features, but I guess I will find out. So new note, Again, very simple. It just shows new note, and it has some tab features. If I hit another one, nothing happens, but I also don't get the annoyance that is Untitled 2, Untitled 3, Untitled 4. It's just, you click Notes, it knows that nothing has been done here yet, other than the title Untitled. If you want, you can add another tab, create your first note from the sidebar to get started. Note, home, home, and it just repeats from there. That is a fascinating way, and right off the bat, right below the title, you can add a tag if you want. The tag here will be entitled Open Source Toys. Tags cannot have, or they can. Never mind. Tags can't have spaces. But if you do, I believe it makes a special character, like an underscore, if you do that. And type it in like that. I'm just not going to do that because this is easier to type. And there we go. Created a hashtag open source toys, and the title of this is FUTO Review Video. Alright, what else can be accomplished here? I can't wait to see graph view, copy file path, move to folder, delete note. As far as the file path, I guess that is where it is on my local machine, but what is it? I don't know. Here, let me open a text editor, very, well, an advanced one, hence the name Kate, for the A, Kate means advanced. Figure it out for yourself. Okay, so under tilde, it'll be under Documents, FUTO Notes, FUTO Review Video, and that will be where the markdown is. Markdown is the format that a lot of these note-taking applications prefer. It is also a format used on the web, especially for things like journaling. WordPress, if you've done anything like that, if you committed a journal, if you made a Fur Affinity journal whining about your bitch-ass life, you use the markdown language to get that to make as much sense as possible, including the link to the sad music you want people to play while they are reading about your sad life while you whine about it. Okay? That's what markdown is, and you have a specific file format called .md that will save things formatted in that way, and you're just getting a little mild taste of that on Fur Affinity, and a bit modified for its own rendering engine, which for the longest time has sucked ass in a very bad way. In a very bad design kind of way, since I'm speaking to furries on that as well and need them to listen as well. I mean, for you normies, it's one thing for something to suck ass, but to suck ass in a badly designed and rude way, I gotta add more emphasize that for the furry viewers out there. Furry fury, fear that wrath. It'll end computing faster than any AI bubble ever could. Anyway, got the title, got the tag, and it is stored neatly in this tag here. I'm going to type some stuff. This is the first note I ever made in FUTO Notes. There we go. Fascinating, simple, but wait, there's more ways to organize thoughts in here. Now, there should be a way to access a more advanced text editor, but it doesn't look like there is. And right now, this note is in the default note folder of notes. Yeah, it's in the default folder. Noter, portmanteau of note and folder. Should be used in English someday. Anyway, if I right click here, there's commands for back, forward, stop, and reload. There's no active elements in this right now, but I am going to, let's see. Okay, now I can focus on this whole note thing. Let me see if how much of the syntax of something like Obsidian it follows. Like if I do something like oh geez, this one really doesn't hold your hand, does it? Let's say I did this. Does this make a bulleted list? All right, it does. If I hit the minus sign and put that before, then it's gonna make these bullet points right here on the screen, like it's here on my keyboard, there on the screen, and okay, it does. Dash. Oh, if I have two dashes, it inset it makes an indentation on the note, so I can have like a bulleted list with indentations of bullets as I read down to know what is in each category, and that's just the bulleted parts. That's cool. All right, okay. Also, I'm just gonna type this down here. Just make some jots, y'all. Okay. Also, I lived in Georgia for 10 years. Shut up. Okay. So also, maybe apply easy effects so this doesn't sound terrible. This is why I like jotting stuff down. Alright, so yeah, I'm going to see if I can go into easy effects. And maybe drown. Oh wait, never mind, that's already enabled. Good, 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 good. The fan noise is gone, and this, I don't know if this was already in effect or not. I'm a bit tired right now. I'm getting tired of Peter Thiel and having to worry about him. So I'm just not. I'm going to focus on solutions, and here's one of them. All right, so FUTO review. Use hyphen, single dash, whatever you want to call it. Use hyphen to make a bulleted list. Start with hyphen, and this really doesn't hold your hand either. It's like, okay, we're not going to have like this big instruction manual on your screen or cluttering everything up. I tried some other applications like AppFlowy, which do a little bit of that, and it looks annoying. It looks like there's something in this that I did not have a hand in making, and I don't like that in my note-taking applications. This really does start from blank, and if you already have experience with something like Obsidian or something like, um, if you have something like AppFlowy or something like, there's one where it is source of any type. If you have any type, um, this will be somewhat familiar to you and has, I assume, similar functionality. I do believe that the synchronization part has to be set up yourself. It's not like AppFlowy or AnyType where it will hold your hand and do it for you. It's not like Obsidian where most people just use SyncThing. I think you can use SyncThing with this, but I think it has its own thing as well, but it doesn't just shove it in your face up front. You have to set that up yourself. I'll see. So note to self, find a sync feature so I can sync this on my Graphene OS Google Pixel 9 Pro, which I have over here. This will be another part of this. Be patient, children. It is a virtue and a skill, something that you later in life will very much appreciate having while you laugh at people who don't. Does this make a checkbox? Okay, so it's not open bracket, close bracket. It is the normal way of using Markdown. It has to be line, open bracket, close bracket. Okay, so line, open bracket, space, close bracket makes that. And if I tick that, it will be marked as complete. And I believe the notation of that, if you're going to make a markdown file and use that as a scripting language to render something on a note-taking app like this, but in NeoVim, which is a completely other topic that you don't need to concern yourself with right now, you could put an X in between those two brackets and it'll say selected. All right, so there's a way to make a checkbox. I hope it auto threads more checkboxes as you go. Like if I do this right here, this is not a real task. This is also not a real task. Do that. Boom! I completed, also not a real task, and it will keep making checkboxes until you hit the enter button, the return key, same thing, twice. All right, so there's that. One dot, this is a numbered list. Okay, it doesn't do that on its own. This is still a numbered list. Not until 2. Great. So if you make a list of 1 and you hit enter, it's not going to automatically make 2. I also found that annoying in other note-taking apps. It'll just assume, oh, hey, thing 1, great, great. But then as soon as you hit enter, it's like, okay, no, I didn't want to make 2. Okay, I just wanted to make 1. And maybe if I hit tab, oh yeah, tab changes the indent. What if I wanted to do 2.1? Can I tab and change that to 2.1? This is a sub-numbered list. Okay, that didn't work. Maybe if I'm like 2, 2.1. Nope, you're not letting me make a 2, are you? I've hit 2 several times. Is supposed to be indented. Okay, not quite as intelligent with that. I mean, you can do 2. You get 3. You can indent the 3. I haven't really figured that part out yet, but it's okay. I'm doing this fresh. This is a first look. This is my first impression of this program, and I am giving you my thoughts. So that's what you came here for, right? And it's nice that I can hit a new tab and it'll say it'll recommend something for me, like, okay, there's that. That might be something I want to focus on. This is all my thoughts, by the way. This is apparently going to be a full PKM, personal knowledge manager, and you know what? I can get into that, including this part, as long as it stays local, as long as this, whatever did the recommendation does not leak out to the public, and this is a private thing as intended. I can save images in here. Where do the images get saved? I don't really know how the directory structure of that works, but I suppose if I find a nice image, let's say I wanted to take a picture of something like, oh sure, the Anthrocon logo. Why not? Save that image, but here. It'll just take me to a note. I think this is just like a directory of where images were saved, but I believe it is possible that I can, like, copy that, open notes, just put that in there, uh, or not. I don't really know how to add an image. Maybe if I slash, oh, there we go, slash, right there. Divide sign. Okay. This is starting to look like AnyType, but this is fully open source. It's not just source available. You can change the software however you want. As far as I'm aware, I haven't really looked at its Git page or anything like that yet, but it does work similar to AnyType as we're in. So the way that you hit slash, it will then help you navigate your journey in Markdown by having this stuff you can click on. If you want to have a code block, you can put it in there. Put it in your FUTO Notes, that's fine. There's one for image and insert image. Okay, so the file has to be downloaded. I'm gonna download the file. The image file looks like that is downloaded and done. Yep, there's the hash for the Anthrocon logo on the Anthrocon website. And now what I'm going to do is insert the image here by just, slash image, I guess. And the FUTO Notes app should take that and hand it off into the file explorer of my system or whatever file explorer it is using. But these are my files, I assure you. And I'm just going to go down, modified just now in downloads. Like, I downloaded this just now. It should be there now. What? Oh, the image is saved as a .htm. Somehow they made that part of the HTML document. Bad example. Let me just get some other image, something like the flag of Minnesota. Kind of like the shirt I'm wearing right now. Get that from the search engine I use because I set this thing up myself. It's struggling to do an image search of that for some reason, and anything right now for some reason, I'm gonna have to troubleshoot that. This is my problem. DuckDuckGo. Flag of Minnesota. Not a honeypot operation at all. Wrong image on the preview. Correct and only flag. From now until the end of time. You can put pride shit in here and do whatever. But officially, it is this right there. You can see that, and that came from the official Wikipedia page. This right here. Alright, so I'm going to grab this from the commons of Wikipedia and the internet itself. I'll just overwrite that so it's easier to grab. We've all done it. Go into, it should be in pictures right there. It is. I'm just going to select that. Click open, or I assume enter. And there is that image. This is an image in my FUTO Notes. The search indexer should put that in the images panel shortly. I also believe this app autosave. Great, wonderful. I have another note. So, note, FUTO review video. Note, images. All right, the indexer is getting that. It's not instantaneous, but it only takes a few seconds. And there we go. I have the image of the flag of Minnesota, the first image I have ever used in FUTO Notes, the greatest flag Minnesota has ever flown, and will keep flying until the end of time officially, alongside its soon to be officially recognized Pride variants. Once the next legislature starts rolling around, oh, buddy, I am not going to be subtle with my politics. I am not even remotely going to be subtle about that, because I see open source as a way to expand freedom, and if you are personally opposed to that, that is a threat to open source to me. So if you hold like racist views, then you hold something exclusionary and are thus fundamentally an anti-open source person, even if you have personally made code and contributed to that for any amount of time. Could be hours, could be decades. I don't give a fuck. But I don't really see you a true member of the open source community if you happen to also be a bigot that hates things about people that are beyond their control, like if you hate people for being trans or gay or black, or from a country that was not as prosperous as the one they moved to, even though they are among your best citizens right now. If you're someone like that who hates people like that, then I don't consider you a true member of that. And this is specifically directed at Distro 2, but also is a general proclamation about open source that I feel is just as true for everyone interested in open source. And that's a fact. That's a fact. That is simply a fact about open source. If you don't believe in the openness and the community contributed nature of it as a person, you're not a good advocate for open source writ large. You can't be a racist and be pro open source. And that's it. You can't be a bigot. You can't be one of these people who are like, okay, well, but let's try and make a middle ground on whether this group of people should exist in peace. No, fuck off. If you're like that, you are not embodying open source like the flag of Minnesota is doing a better job of than yourself, which you need to get over in order to be a true advocate. That is how I see this. That is how I will always see this. And if you disagree with that, you are wrong. And that's a fact. I know, I just fume the heads of people who hate knowing that, and hate facts in general, like actively run away from them just to, like Donald Trump or some shit. No, he's a terrible president. And fuck you if you ever liked him. This is not the channel for you, and open source is not the hobby for you. I have every right to gatekeep that, given what open source is all about. Having the full knowledge, and not wanting it to be fucked up by men who have never worked, like Peter Thiel and Elon Musk. And those who are still watching the video up to this point, you get an extra goodie treat. I'm going to go into the settings and see how this thing ticks just for you. So what this does is it does make a subdirectory under documents typically, and it'll make it called FUTO Notes. You can change that to something else if you'd like, but this is simple enough. I think they get how most people are going to use this application. You can change it to auto, dark, or light. Um, my system is a bit wacky in that if I hit auto, some programs will choose dark and some will choose light. Like if I think OBS just in general wants you to use it in dark instead of light, but you can change that and it self defaults to that. But if I hit auto on a program like this, it'll default to light. Although really this is like a system that's trying to improve upon what Windows 7 kind of was. Like that was my favorite Windows of all time and the last good version of Windows. And I think Microsoft, if they had any brains, would bring it back. Like now, like even before the inevitable popping of the AI bubble happens. Oh, okay. So now there is a way to sync that. You can set that up. You got to have a server URL, but I can do that. Okay, I have a way to do that without paying Squarespace money or some domain register. I could use Duck, but you do have to do the manual setup here to like have a notes page and have it set to a server, even if it's got a wacky URL like Duck DNS. If you're using Duck DNS, you can use that, or you can use reverse proxy things like Tailscale. Netbird is mine. I have my own private VPN here, just so Peter Thiel can be fuming at information he is not entitled to and has never earned through any action of his entire life. All of his wealth is ill-gotten, as is self-evident, and he has no consistent ideology other than, you know what? I want to be the bad guy in 1984. While spending money to ban that specific book in states like Florida that hate free speech, the Constitution, and human rights as a whole. If you live in Florida and respect any of those things, you need to leave and leave for a place like Minnesota, a place that embodies the values of open source computing. You can say if you want to share crash reports and have it done automatically. You know what? I trust FUTO here. I mean, they have Rossman behind it, and I think he said enough to clarify why he deleted Graphene OS. But he's still a friend of the community. Like I use Graphene OS. I know that any project's gonna have a shithead that doesn't fully embody the values of open source, contributing to it anyway. It's a bit of a paradox, but if you're like actually going to speak on its behalf and for its virtues, then you need to be a virtuous person. And by being a virtuous person, you need to understand that there are people out there who are not going to be converted away from core aspects of their personality that do no harm to anyone, like being trans or gay, and especially skin color and any culture behind their heritage. Like, and this is unidirectional in some aspects. It was like I lived in Georgia for 10 years. Georgia's a part of my life, but I know they're good and bad. I want to celebrate good and toss out the bad. And I feel the same about Minnesota. There's just less bad in Minnesota's much shorter history, but there's still some pretty bad and wacky stuff. I hope you like how I get philosophical while I'm reviewing an open source program made by nerds on the internet. I'm doing a better job of that than Peter Thiel ever was, is doing, or ever will. I'm better on the philosophy front and on the just showing you why this stuff is awesome. Like and subscribe if you agree with that. And that's really all the settings. Like, okay, you can also like nuke all the data and fully reset the entire application, but it also means everything in the directory goes away, all the documents, all the images, or pointers to images, as I assume this does not just make another copy of the flag of Minnesota. That might be a bit more resource intensive. No, but it does have a pointer to one on the machine as it currently stands. And it does have some automations in that it'll recommend notes that are related to notes you already made, and it'll have like a small like little AI, a very um it'll process words. Like it'll process words, do things like autocomplete, but it's a lot less resource intensive than even something I already downloaded, like a full AI, which warrants its own video. Like I downloaded a large language model. It's great, and that is really the future of that technology. People owning it and training it to do what they want is the thing that separates the Teals from the Zuckerbergs, and he's also much of a jerk. But anyway, yeah, his vision of AI and Peter Thiel's vision of AI are completely at odds, and yet Google is trying to get its thumb into both things so that they can work with whatever comes their way when it comes to whatever the next government is going to be. And them having a thumb in the open weights distilled the model that you can download prevents them from being completely irrelevant in Minnesota, and having a thumb in a centralized model means that they can try to sweet talk their way to building a data center in Minnesota. It's a mess right now again, and all of that is entirely due to Peter Thiel just being a jerk, wanting to be the bad guy in 1984, but in the real world, and that has to be stopped. This program will help stop that. It'll keep these notes on your system. Will it keep them encrypted? Probably not. Let me try to open that. I mean, there are workarounds for that, but as of right now, it's just a simple note-taking app with markdown, images, headings. You know, you can make checklists. You can have a running journal. I could put file here. I can make folders. Like if I'm just like FUTO Notes, demo video notes right here, right now. There's a folder. I can put both of these in and have them organized in a folder. There are ways you can move notes to other folders. There is a way to search for things in notes so that you don't completely lose trace. That is a lot better than, say, just using the journal command line application where it's just, if I like journal, this is a journal I wrote in. I'm just going to pull that up here so you can see it better. This is a journal I wrote in journal in the command line. That's just gonna move that input into its own. There is literally a text file that it'll just punch that in along with the date time that according to the system that I made that note. But now I will have a harder time tracing that. I mean, Journal has a help page, and it'll give you neat little tips and tricks, and I do like having that, but I also want my journal to be accessible in FUTO Notes now. I mean, I could just have a system where I have a command line version and this graphic version. Unfortunately, if I am going to do that, I'm going to have to set up a script to make sure that happens. I'm going to have to set up. I could use sync things. By the way, I can use sync thing to like take this directory of FUTO Notes and in the document section of my computer and have that copy itself through varying machines. Or I could have a more professional looking setup where I have a server with an URL and a password, and it's more secure that way than in sync thing. But you're still forwarding to the internet. You got to make sure that forward through the internet is secure if you're doing it like that, or if you're doing it on a LAN, but you're pushing it through the internet through something like Netbird just to make sure that some prying eyes like Peter Thiel aren't looking at it. That's great. So I really like this, and I think I am going to make this my PKM. And I'm not just saying that because I like Louis Rossmann. I think this is my favorite. I have tried several of these. It's very minimal. It's not going to hold your hand through every step of the way. It doesn't fill the whole thing. This is my thing with these. It doesn't have a huge intro page where you're just scratching your chin and going, "Do I delete this or not?" No, I mean the help pages as a note, it fills my autistic brain with lots of massive discomfort. Do I keep this or do I get rid of it? The program's not going to pick for me. Whereas in FUTO Notes, it's like, okay, all right, markdown. All right, and if you're not familiar with markdown, just hit slash. Hit slash right here. Hit the divide symbol in a field and it will give you the paragraph, the heading, the paragraph breaker, the headings, the bullets, the numbers. You could put block quotes, whatever the fuck that is, code blocks, dividers, like, okay, now here is, and you could just type in divider and it will help you with that rather than having to type that in Markdown yourself. If you're familiar with Markdown, that's great. If you're not, you can just hit slash and then type in the thing you need to insert. And I do believe that is going to have more features over time. Plus, you can just graph out like the mind that you put in here. That's not really working right now. This is a bit of a work in progress as it transfers from the original, uh, the guy that started this project and is leading it over to FUTO is managing it more. I think they are going to have the mind map that shows up in Obsidian, but Obsidian is somewhat proprietary. This is fully free and open source. And now I'm going to end this with whatever they put whatever get they put this on. I think. Oh, now you want to work. Okay, so yeah, it starts with Git, but it's not GitHub. I believe it's. Let me just search FUTO Notes up in here in this locally hosted abomination. GitLab. GitLab is the repository, the official one for this. I would prefer Codeberg. Codeberg is the best. Codeberg is where I put my shit on. But nonetheless, yeah, this is fully open. FUTO Notes is an offline first markdown notes app with optional end-to-end encrypted sync. You can do that its way, and it's the sync server now lives in a separate repo. You can set up that according to these instructions, or you could be a weirdo freak and try and use SyncThing. I think I'm going to try and use SyncThing for that because I use SyncThing for damn near everything, and I just haven't taken the leap of logic and started using, Nextcloud yet, but I will at some point. But that's like the master Trito of open source, and I got to lead up to that on this nascent channel. Like there it is. It gives you the podman instructions, which is also the Docker instructions, basically. Maybe slightly different sometimes, but you can set up a sync server. I think I'll just use SyncThing to the directory that it said earlier. Like if I go to documents, it will have FUTO Notes right here. It will have. Oh, so you are gonna copy the full image? Fuck you. This program just went from an A to a B minus for that. I don't need a full. I shouldn't have a complete copy of my image in a different place just because I know this is a new program project, and I'm sure they'll find some way to not duplicate all the image data that you put into it. But I can also understand like this is like the easiest way to do this right now, and also like okay, like a general photo roll and putting some things in a scrapbook is a separate thing. So maybe duplicating images like this and using that as a way to store them and in in FUTO Notes is not that bad of a thing, but I really think that it should like have a pointer or a way to compress those images. And like if I go into the notes right now, like there's no way that any of this is encrypted. The data itself is not encrypted. But I still prefer this to anything else I tried. One great thing about open source is that you can see what the program is going to end up being before they even implement features. Like there's already some code in here for some cloud integrations. They want to be able to have some kind of the ability to put some apps in here and like maybe have some added functions that you can put in there, similar to Obsidian and Anytype, where you can put some add-ons in. There's source, scripts, text, markdown. Oh, so much stuff. You can look at the every little detail of what went into that app image, and even requests for changes. Okay, but here on this tab on the right is what I am really looking for, the license information. I just gotta endure this agents.markdown loading, except no, I don't. I can hit the back button at any time. That's just instructions for different systems and how to get that on there. But the license of this is under contributing.md, it seems, by clicking the license link. Nope, that's in license.md. Great job, JavaScript, doing that. I love it when that happens. All right, so as far as the license is concerned, this can only be used for non-commercial purposes. You can't take this and then sell it like you would with an MIT license. So I guess that's I don't really know what to make of it, but they do have the source code open, and you can take it, you can modify it, you can you can fork it if you want, and you can call it something else as long as you follow the terms of this license. It's sort of like a GPL, but it's FUTO's own uh, uh, um, own. It's basically FUTO GPL where it has to be non-commercial. Okay, you can't take their code, repackage it, and sell it. Okay, you got to do your own work if you want to do that, or your own vibe coding. But you can't use this unless it's non-commercial. Okay, so yeah, I give this a B minus. I look forward to this growing into something with more features, better data handling, maybe like an actual um, database that makes more efficient use of the bits and bytes than just copying an exact copy of the image in another directory. That's kind of annoying, and I think I will use, as I attempted to state earlier, but will be even more emphatic about now. I will be taking the FUTO Notes directory of documents and putting that into SyncThing, and then synchronizing all my FUTO Notes from machine to machine to machine. I I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use rsync to put that in a general sync folder that all of the machines that I want to have in this ring of synchronization has access to anyway. SyncThing is something that's hard to review because I need to show private information that can be used to wreck with my system on the screen in order to review it in front of your face directly. But it's really otherwise it's just scan QR code synchronized files. Um, Type simplicity and then pick where you want in each device to have all of that synchronized into a nice ring of things. Just make sure you're got a sense of the trace and what syncs into what, and SyncThing will help you have your own little ring of synchronizing your own personal information, and it'll put it through its encrypted connection so that you don't want to have to worry about the private files that you're syncing being sniffed by Peter Thiel and the government officials he bribes on a regular basis. So those are all my thoughts on those are all my autism thoughts on FUTO Notes. Bye for now. And I really appreciate everyone who watched to the very end. Certainly, you are the most awesome and should absolutely subscribe if you want to see more content like this and like the video, which is even more important than that. Thank you.